Hello everyone, welcome to Cisco CCNP Enterprise Advanced Routing and Services 300 to 410 ENARSI training. In this course, I will briefly talk about the topics we will cover during this training. In the first part, I will explain the installation and use of Cisco certificates, EVE-NG, and in the second part, we will examine IP addressing and routing problems, and I will talk about the DHCP server in IP version 4 and try to solve its problems. In IP version 6, I will talk about stateless auto configuration and DHCP server, and we will complete this section by examining packet forwarding, IP version 4 and IP version 6 static route and static route problems. In the third part, we will cover EIGRP topics. I will talk about the basics of EIGRP and configuration modes, and we will complete this section by making EIGRP load balance and EIGRP lab examples. In the fourth part, we will cover more advanced topics of EIGRP, such as route summarization, stub router, split horizon, distribution list filtering, etc. In the sixth part, we will do EIGRP troubleshooting labs, and in the seventh part, I will first talk about the basics of OSPF. Then we will complete this section by talking about OSPF designated router and backup designated router layout, network types, and how to set up authentication in OSPF. In the eighth chapter, I will talk about more high-level topics in OSPF. First I will talk about OSPF areas, then I will talk about link state advertisements, stubby areas path selection, summarization, and OSPF to virtual link. In the ninth part, I will talk about the problems that we will encounter in OSPF and we will do troubleshooting labs. In the 10th part, we will complete this section by covering the basics of OSPF version 3, route summarization and authentication in OSPF version 3. In the 11th chapter, I will explain the BGP routing protocol. First I will talk about the basics of BGP, then we will complete this section by talking about internal BGP scalability improvements, BGP route reflector, BGP confederations, and finally multi-protocol BGP. In the 12th part, I will explain advanced BGP topics. First we will do BGP route summarization, then we will do BGP route filtering and manipulation examples, then we will complete this section by talking about BGP communities and path selection. In the 13th part, we will do labs about the problems that may arise in BGP. In the 14th part, we will cover the subject of policy-based routing. First I will talk about conditional match, then I will talk about route maps and policy-based routing, and finally we will do troubleshooting labs. In our 15th chapter, I will explain the subject of route redistribution, and we will complete this section by making labs on how to set up EIGRP route redistribution, OSPF, and BGP route redistribution. In the 16th chapter, I will explain the topics of virtual routing and forwarding and MPLS. First I will talk about VRF-Lite and we will do a lab study, then we will complete this section by talking about MPLS. In the 17th chapter, we will cover DMVPN topics. First I will talk about GRE tunnels, then I will talk about the next hop resolution protocol, and after covering DMVPN topics, we will have completed the training. Now if you are ready, we can start the training.